He said, if that's the customer experience, they might be better off without the slogan. But the service standard gets more granular to say, this is the standard that we're going to hold ourselves to when we're interacting with our customers. We call them the 3 R's: right product, right place, right time. One of the challenges that I give in the bicycle book is to determine what your R's are. Use it, to that effect, get your team involved, read the story, and then apply the lessons, because there are some amazing lessons that, again, I've gone back to over and over and over again. They're foundational to making any business work.
Again, what the lesson does, it opens up the discussions for teams to have these and delineate who maybe could delegate the job, but still have the ownership or the accountability that it gets done and met by the standards that have been set by the company. Correct?
I'll give you can I give you a dental example real
Absolutely.
quick? Because this was remarkable to me. Today I was going over some results. As you know, we work with a lot of dental practices through our total patient service education and practice management company. And so we were looking at conversion results of, calls to scheduled appointments. And we were comparing offices, and there was one in particular that just like head and shoulders, their conversion rates were just amazing, like double everybody else's. And so when you drill down, what you find out is this principle, which is the lead business assistant has the accountability to convert calls to scheduled appointments. I mean, she owns that result. And she's done a beautiful job of enlisting the entire team to be responsible. Okay, so here's the fun little twist. Accountability is you are willing to give account for the end result. Responsibility means you will respond. You're response able. So she has enlisted the entire team that in the moments when she's otherwise occupied or there's a busy front office area, that everybody is on call and aware that, man, if they hear that phone ringing, everybody's on it. And so everybody is responsible for answering the phone. As a result of that, their conversion rate is a lot higher because everybody's on it. But that's just a practical example of the difference between responsibility and accountability, and what a difference it makes when everybody in the organization understands that.
That's very powerful, Steve. There was another incident where you had initially, with your dad's help, of course, opened the checking account you need to have at the bank, because again, you were be collecting monies that you had to keep in a safe place, and then return those back, your obligation to the newspaper. And when you first went in with your father to open the account, you kind of got that red carpet service. I mean, you just felt like, wow, I am somebody, man. I'm a businessman. Oh, yeah. I mean, you got that, really. And then you tell the story. And I think the other key piece I don't want to leave out is the motto, the slogan, the tagline of this particular bank is where people mean everything.
Yeah.
I get that right? Yeah, where people mean everything.
And keep in mind who coined that phrase.
Your dad.
So my dad is the advertising guy. He was the one who came up with the bank slogan, where people mean everything. It was all about customer service. And they used that slogan, David, for over 30 years. They hung their hat on that whole image of being the place where customer service is everything. Yeah. So naturally, we go in there, we walk in the bank, and in walks the guy who coined the phrase. Everybody's going to bow and scrape and salute the dude who's created the entire bank image, for sure. And that, I'll tell you, that whole slogan is, I mean, huge impact on me and our family and the whole thing. I mean, and it's a big centerpiece of the bicycle book. It's a big part of the whole, the whole message. But the one of the moments that I will never forget in our little business school experience was the day I walked into the bank alone. And this is the story you're referring to. I walked in alone as a 12-year-old, on a cold day, and I had, doing the paper route, and I'm sure, in my mind, I'm larger than life. I'm business owner. I'm, I got it all going on. And what they saw when I walked in was a 12-year-old kid with a parka on that's got newsprint smudged all over it. I'm sure I had some on my face. It was cold outside. I'm sure I had the winter cap in. I probably, came in with a bunch of snow on my feet. And that's what they saw, is this 12-year-old kid. And I walked in with a stack of checks. So the first, somebody looking at that at face value is going to go, where did this kid get the checks? Right. So what happened that particular instance, it was like the Inquisition. It was automatically, they're assuming I stole the checks. Where did I get them? The bank manager gets called over. It was horrible. It marked me for life in terms of, God, I'll never forget that experience. And I got smoke coming out my ears because I'm thinking to myself, I'm in the place where people mean everything. And I just got treated like less than a people. And so believe me, we had a dinner table conversation about that. And so we sat down and that night for dinner, and there was no questioning that started the conversation. The first thing I said after we got done with the prayer, we said, amen. And I turned to my dad and I said, well, I went to the bank where people mean everything today. And I got treated like less than a people. Man, I was hot. And he handled it well, like he did everything. And he listened. And then this little piece of wisdom, if I can share this, because I'm going to quote this directly from the book. Here's what he said. He said, if that's the customer experience, meaning my experience, he goes, if that's the customer experience, they might be better off without the slogan.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking that was like the last thing that I expected him to say. And then here comes this amazing piece of wisdom. Sometimes no marketing, no advertising, no promotion is better than the most creative, high impact campaign. Sometimes doing nothing is better. And I'm sitting there going, wait, what?
Right.
And then he goes on to say, he says, when the experience falls short and a business does not live up to its words and the image it projects, the damage can be more serious than any amount of advertising can repair. In fact, he said, word of mouth travels 13 times faster than positive word of mouth, which I know is not a newsflash, but it is fascinating to me that you never have to ask for a negative online review today. Have you ever noticed that? Those just somehow they figure out how to do that all by themselves, but they can't figure out how to leave the positive one. You got to coach them through it and guide them through it and show them how to do it. Yeah, the negative stuff, because we get so fired up, we want to tell everybody about a horrible experience. And that moment, when I've looked back in retrospect, David, that experience in that moment explains a lot as to now, I think in retrospect, I can see why I chose to do what I do in my career, which is, we get the experience dialed in. That's what everything we do in total patient service and Crown Counsel, it's all about the culture and the patient experience and getting all that dialed in so that you do have something to talk about and patients have something to talk about. So that whole piece of, sometimes doing nothing, sometimes no marketing is better than the best marketing. If you don't have it dialed in on the inside, man, you better put the brakes on and get it organized and get it right.
Yeah, don't put it out there unless you can live up to the standard. And I think for all of us who are in business and we're focused on customer service and deliverables and value, it's very easy for us. I know it is for me, and I know it is for you too, wherever I am interfacing with other companies that I am doing business with or potentially doing business with, where I need services or vendors, or I'm in a restaurant or a hotel or wherever. In the back of my mind, I'm always, at least subconsciously, feeling an experience of some kind. And my critical nature, because I want to think I have very high standards. I want to believe I have high standards. We all want to believe we have high standards. And so I'm consciously taking notes, and not just the critical ones. I think it's important to go out of our way, particularly when someone's really over delivering, or we believe it's to let them know we appreciate that. Because as you said, the critical 1-star reviews are always there. Why can't we be better? But back to my point is we want to think we're delivering high standards. It's easy to be critical of others. How do we go back and assess our experience? Because not to point to any fingers at the bank, but obviously somebody missed the boat there. Even though you were a 12-year-old with snow on your shoes, and still you were a customer. You were coming in, and what should people do with their own companies to self-assess how we're doing with delivering on the value and the experience that we promise?
Yeah, and so there is another piece of the wisdom. So one of the areas that is a real focus of the bicycle book is what we call the 3 R's. And we all know the 3 R's is reading, writing, and arithmetic, right? Well, that's not what this is. So this is what he called a service standard, right? So there is what we call the service promise. So like where people mean everything, that's a service promise. Like this is the value we place on it. But the service standard gets more granular to say, this is the standard that we're going to hold ourselves to when we're interacting with our customers. So we call them the three R's, because at least in this example, it was right product, right place, right time, right? So it was the right product, which seems like, well, it's a newspaper. Yeah, but there was a lot of moving parts to that. As you remember, David, there was newspaper stuffers with the ads, and so you had to make sure you had everything that was supposed to be there. So the right product, the right place, which is in this case, the service standard was it lands in the middle of the front porch where it's easy to, not to the side, not in the bushes, not out on the front walk. It is in the middle of the front porch so that it's easy to find. And then right time, the service standard was delivery before 6 p.m. So those were the 3 R's in that case. And so one of the challenges that I give in the bicycle book is to determine what your R's are. What is your right for your business? Every business has a little different scenario. But what are the rights, your service standard that you'll commit to, that then everybody can measure their own performance against to say, did I deliver? Did I meet the service standard in that interaction or in what I'm doing? So that if there's personal accountability, but there's also organizational accountability, because now we have a way to measure what we're doing and if we're actually delivering on the promise and the standards. They both go together.
So good. We've touched on just a few of the lessons and the stories that are inside the book. It's a great book, the Bicycle Book, Stephen J. Anderson. And you also have opportunities for people to pick this up, because I think that's the idea. This is how we're going to use it on our teams. Stephen, I love the book. We're going to use it same way, so people can pick it up in bulk. We'll put those links here for people. Any contact points you'd like to give us, again, for you, for Tops, for the book, anything? Yeah, it's best place for people to interact with you.
Yeah, so my website, Stephen J. Anderson. So it's a Stephen with a V-E-N, so S-T-E-V-E-N, the letter J. There's a lot of Steve Andersons out there, right? So Stephen J. Anderson with an O-N.com. So the bicycle book is there in all links to all the different formats, hardback, paperback, audio format, digital. I was going to do the Braille version. Haven't gotten there yet.
Not there.
But any your preferred format, I'm a big fan of, different learning types. So it's all there. And then all the links to our other organizations that we have. So my whole goal in doing the bicycle book, here's what I envisioned, David, especially in the context of those that are listening, is, this is a business book. And I envision teams, like we already talked about, sitting down, reading, book of the month, book of the year, whatever you want to call it, and reading, the story together. It is literally going on a ride. I mean, there's a storyline, and then discussing what we call the get pedaling section at the end of every chapter to say, okay, how does this apply to us? and how can we incorporate the principles then to make our own business even better. That's the goal. So I hope those that are listening and watching, that you'll use it to that, to that effect. Get your team involved, read the story, and then apply the lessons, because there are some amazing lessons that, again, I've gone back to over and over and over again, that are constants. No matter the year, no matter the time, they're truths, they're foundational to making any business work.
Well, Steve, I know that you are making a difference in so many people's lives, in the people that, again, you touch or interfere with. The legacy that you are leaving for your dad. I mean, to me, this is so significant that you put this together. And I know you've been thinking about it for a few years, but what a great tribute to both your parents, to put it in this book form. And I know all of your siblings and the rest of your family also have to think very highly of what you've done here, because you've encapsulated all those lessons that all of you went through, and now can teach to your kids and to your grandkids and anybody else whose lives you get to touch. That's where I think the real significance comes from here. And
there is a piece of that in there for sure, David, is one of the objectives. And without giving away the punchline, that the whole real meaning of the book is in the last chapter, and it is an event. It is an experience that I had that I will never forget. That really, it went all, there's some concepts that you intellectually recognize, and then something happens where you emotionally embrace it. And in the last chapter is where we talk about this one moment where everything that he had taught around that dinner table came home in just one event that taught me volumes. So I won't give that away. You can read that. You can read it in the book, but it was a very, very powerful moment. So I hope they enjoy the read and learn the lessons from it.
I can't wait to get there to that chapter, which I will certainly do. Stephen, thank you so much. Always appreciate your wisdom and insights.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed watching or learning from this video, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more content. If you have a question about any of my content or this specific video, just please leave a comment down below. And as always, stay focused on your freedom. I'll see you next time.